Thank you, sir, for joining us. And it's a delight to be able to get the next 30, 40 minutes of your wisdom as a banker. And I've been reading some of your blogs, which you've been sharing, and your experience as a banker, really, truly, I hope we will. But I want to set the context to my fellow mutual fund distributors. Over the last year or so, many of us have experienced the kind of joy and many times fear as well. And will AI, take away what we currently do in terms of opportunities, jobs, and whatever it is? And is this the end of the world for many things? I mean, of course, IT people have the biggest fear, but I'm sure many of us have had moments when we thought AI would kind of take away our role as well. So, since this conference is about growth intelligence, and our attempt over the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, is to discover how we can use the power of AI and channelize our own growth. I thought it is fit to have Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, who has had a career in banking. And I remember that 25 years ago, a bank meant a physical structure. The bank manager was, for younger people, uh, bank mama, as we would call it. The family would send the person to update the passbook, and the uncle will be there, and you will update the passbook, and he knew your family and the members in the family as a personal thing. To 25 years down, we now know what bank is, right? And I don't know about you, but the last 10 years, I've never been inside my bank. I don't know who the bank manager is, but everything gets done, right? So we know that the internet era has transformed the way we think. So I'm going to use that as a lens and get from Mr. Srinivasan, who has had that journey through the internet era. Please give us an insight, sir, how the journey of transition has been through the internet era. And could that offer us a glimpse of how we are going to transition from the world we now live, maybe 10 years down, using AI? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Babu, and good afternoon, everybody. I guess I am between you and lunch, so we'll try to make this reasonably engaging. So, request your participation. I think the question you ask, Babu, is not, I don't think it's specific to your industry. It's a question that everybody is asking of themselves, right? Will this whole future of digital, the whole AI, just reshape life as we know it? The beauty about this, I'm just reminded in 1987, when I was doing my summer project in my IIM days, I was doing a project with Wipro. And the first line of my project report, the state of the industry is in a flux. Right? I think that line applies in 1940, 1987, 2025, 2045. Your life is in an eternal state of flux, and flux creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates fear. And the best way to solve for it is to be more optimistic about everything that's around us, right? So I want to dispel the view that change is equal to, everything of the past will just fade and life will get bleak. I would argue exactly the opposite. But let me just remind myself, and some of you may remember, a gentleman called John Reed. John Reed was, in late 70s, the visionary Citibank leader. And around that time, I was yet a student. And when I joined Citibank 10 years after that, it was a legendary story that the future of consumer bank at that point in time was visualized by this gentleman, John Reed. There's a famous article, a story that goes, if you go and check, you'll see Memos from the Beach. John Reed wrote the future of consumer banking as the world knows it now in 1977 on a beach, in a scribble on a backside of a paper. And his whole funda then was that the world will need consumer banking or banking the way FMCG does their business. So that's how consumer banking was born, and a lot has happened after that, we all know that. But in that, the message was use of technology to disrupt. Now, when he went back to the bank and he told the story, most people, including his board, shooed him off saying that you were smoking something or you were lying on a beach and you're sunstruck, forget it. And then, of course, he had the ability to prevail, and the rest is history. So I think this fear of technology will hold back everything, whether it's internet, .com, we've seen it and we will see it again and again and again. I don't believe will be. See, disruption never comes announced, right? It doesn't take an appointment and come. It just shows up. So we have to believe that. I think the earlier speaker had a wonderful story, and he talked about David Bowie's song, "You Hear the Future." So I think the future has announced itself, and it would be unwise for any of us in any industry, specifically in the one that you all represent, to even fear that. Is to make, in fact, you mentioned I keep posting. My last post was trend the friend, or the friend the trend. Don't try to anti-trend it, just friend the trend. So I think my one message to everybody is, instead of fearing it, let's friend it. But even more, I hope we all walk on as MFDs and walk out as different MFDs. We'll talk about that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I want to pick your brain again on the internet era. In the last, say, 25 years, banking has evolved completely. And you had a ringside view of how banking has evolved. Can you give us 2 or 3 things that winners who have emerged winners in this era have done correctly? And what are the lessons we can take? 2 or 3 lessons.
Sure.
And something about people who may have missed the bus also, both positives and negatives.
Sure. I'll draw my own personal experience. In 2012 or 13, I had just been 2 years as the MD of Federal Bank. And we had, I think, at least in my time, and sure even now, we took a lot of pride in the fact that we used technology very wisely and tried to stay at the cutting edge. And one of the things that the team had identified, which is now ubiquitous, is the QR code based banking. So my team had come up and argued for a business case where all you do is scan. This is 2012, not 2025 or 26. You scan and you can do a transaction. Now, greatly excited, we went, and some of the wiser board members came up with some crazy argument and used some technology called steganography. So if you go and see, you will figure it out. And steganography will make sure that the fraudsters can easily copy, your data will get corrupted. Don't. So for about 2 years, we were searching for answers for that. By the time, rest is history, UPI, NPCI was born, UPI came, UPI took away everything. So we lost the plot of being the first mover, despite having thought about it, exactly like Kodak, right, which Anthony spoke about. Kodak was the one who discovered the digital camera. So I think the fear of security and maybe the treading to the unknown territory, we held back. On the flip side, when Nandan and UPI became what it became, it looked like a ridiculous idea to talk about the Jandan Aadhaar mobile trinity. And when he made the first presentation, if you all seen Nandan's presentation in 2015, it was visionary, right? It was visionary. It just happened that demonetization happened in 2016, November, and immediately thereafter, that platform just exploded, and today we can't think of life without paying using QR codes and stuff. I think the example of adoption of technology, creating the platform, just leveraging at scale, is the beautiful example of this thing. And the failure, which I'm sad to say, was something that we missed. We had it in our clutch, but we missed it because we probably didn't see the whole thing through, or we got fearful of the fact that maybe this would be a problem. So I think scale opportunity resides everywhere. It's conquering the fear and finding the mitigation, and probably when it comes with the government or sponsored by a regulator, it just takes a new shape. So, UPI probably, to my mind, is the finest example, and all of us live and work. In fact, one of the things when it started, when somebody said that this is not going to work, I'm sure that gentleman is today in some Kirana shop today using his QR code and paying and regretting the fact that he had said, let's not do that. So I think when do you say yes and when do you say no is a big call.
I think, well said. I think change is always tougher. Making that move into the unknown is always a lot more challenging. But I think that's where opportunity also exists for growth. And I hope we carry this message that while AI is an unknown animal out there, if we are able to make tiny steps and kind of start adopting in our daily life and maybe in our business model as well, I think we will make progress and hopefully we will be there to take the opportunity as it goes. Sir, one quick question. In your understanding, I mean, everybody talks about AI as a game changer, but we are a community of mutual fund distributors. Many of us are small individuals carrying a bag and kind of meeting customers by ourselves. We don't have large offices, we don't have tech teams, and so on and so forth. Uh, in my opinion, uh, this could be a guerrilla movement for all of us because AI could do a lot of things that uh, large offices now do for even individuals. What, in your opinion, is going to be a game changer for mutual fund distributors or in large
No,
individuals?
I can't disagree with you. In fact, I would sort of double click on it. As I think about it, and I used to say this in the bank and to whoever cares to listen, it's the most democratic opportunity that's in front of everybody, right? If you have a wealth management large firm, which has 200, 400 RMs and the whole periphery and platform to learn from, you have a 24 by 7, no holiday digital assistant or AI assistant available with you who knows more than all the 200 human beings put together. So I think whether in Tanjavur or Tirunelveli or Chandigarh, it doesn't matter. You have access to the same information. The same SEBI circular announced last night is analyzed in front of you. But if you as an MFD or as an individual operator are nervous to use that and reliant on something else, I think you've lost the plot. So if the individual operator can leverage this and make this a friend, that's why I keep saying friend the trend, I think you're in an infinitely better place. And I often go back to, in my days in the bank, I used to say to all our RMs, can you actually become the postman of the 60s and 70s? The postman knew everything in that family, who is fighting with whom, who is getting the money order, what is the date it will come, the full Ram Kahani you would know. Can you as an RM, to the RM, and I'm extending that to all of you as people who are wealth architects, can you know every micro detail? I think the earlier gentleman spoke about KYC in its true sense. And this will provide you that capability. So I would think this serves you as an opportunity, subject to the fact that you friend that.
Absolutely. Very, very well said. In fact, our conference theme is AI plus
I saw
EI.
that.
So the EI can be emotional intelligence, can be empathy. And when you are in empathy with your client, you tend to kind of build networks within the client family and the extended network of the client. So that is intelligence, as Mr. Shyam Srinivasan said. That can be a huge game changer. And as he said, I take it. Yesterday, last evening, there was a SEBI circular. And if we all have a chat GPT or Perplexity or Claude in our phone, open it, upload that circular, and say, can you summarize this in 10 key points? And chat GPT or any of them will throw it back at you. And you can quickly kind of take insights from that and create a post for your clients and send it out. Within 5-7 minutes, you have intelligent information that you've shared that is useful to your client using technology. That's what you alluded to. I think it's a very powerful medium, but we need to kind of start using it and putting to use. I'm now going to take it as an assumption that many of my friends here are raring to go, let's say after this talk from you. But give us a checklist of a few things that we need to do to succeed in adoption of AI, if you could, based on your experience in the past.
I wish I had the answers, but let me take a shot at it. Right? I think in anything which is the human connect that is, to me, is paramount. I just went through my annual physical, whatever, medical test last Saturday. And it gave me I did it in the Apollo, very 20-page document, quickly put it into Claude, felt greatly reassured there are no major issues except some osteoarthritis that is beginning to show up, otherwise in reasonable good shape. So over the weekend, happy. Monday, I had the appointment to the doctor. I walked in greatly confident, nothing is there, usual stuff. But only when the doctor said all good, the reassurance was there. So the first and foremost is that despite all the technology and all the reports and a reasonably aware citizen who could read content and process it, I needed that reassurance of a trusted doctor who said, looked at it, he probably saw it for 5 minutes. I love, okay. Right, but that is the most reassuring moment. And you just go back feeling, okay, then another year or however longer life is fine. To my mind, if I extrapolate that to any of your business or something that I used to tell our teams, how many people speed dials are you on? I don't want to know how many people are on your speed dial. I want to know in the how many people speed dial are you on, which means when that person has a problem, it could be nothing to do with financial, it could be that his daughter is stuck in a traffic jam somewhere else. Who does he call first? Are you the postman, or are you the advisor, or are you the first go-to person, or in the top 3 go-to person of that person? I think you are in the heart and mind of that client. So if you are in the speed dial of many, that's one. So I would think ability for physical presence becomes a massive strength for any advisor, right? Knowledge, I'm assuming if you don't have knowledge of your industry, you are already cooked. You are not on the table, you are on the menu, right? So for you to be on the table, your ability for physical presence, knowledge, presence, and I think you've all used it many times. If you have presence and empathy, as in your ability to have that call. Like I had a personal experience, right? When I was in the bank, I had some stock options and never wanted to sell it, thinking that if the MD sells it, the market will not feel good. So like a hero, I took some loan to buy my grants. And unfortunately, COVID came and the stock tanked by like quite a material amount. And when it tanked, I didn't have the resources, so I had to sell the stock. And so I personally lost a lot of money on that day. But to honor a commitment, I had to pay. So the loan, whatever the company that given me the loan, they were happy. I paid and I was out of it, but I was on a loan. That evening, the guy called me to empathize with me. Sorry, sir, this happened to you. That was a more defining moment. It's not that the fact that the transaction, the fact that somebody, hey, at the end of the day, thought about me and said, hey, you know what, you had a problem, let me try and have a conversation. If you guys do that when your client least expects that call, you've created what I call that lollipop moment. Right? When you created that lollipop moment, if you've not seen it, please watch a nice 6-minute YouTube clip by a guy called Drew Dudley on lollipop moments. You'll enjoy that thoroughly and it'll have a great message for each of you. How you create lollipop moments for your clients. So my storyline is create lollipop moments for your clients, become on the speed dial of your client, have empathy, have knowledge, and physical presence. I don't know if that'll help, sir. That's what I would say.
Fabulous, fabulous. Please, I think these are words of wisdom. If we are able to harness the beauty of AI, which is now all available in our phones, and also give our clients lollipop moments, as he says, where the client trusts you, believes you, and you're the first go-to person for him. I think we're all winners out here. There's nothing to fear about in terms of AI and so on. Our business will continue to thrive and grow manifold times. So thank you so much, sir. I think truly, truly well said. I want to ask you a very pointed business question because we're all here, we run businesses of mutual fund distribution. One of the things that we know that's happened in the banking industry in the past, say 25 years, is that scale of banking has grown tremendously while size of the team hasn't necessarily needed to keep pace with the growth, right? So banking has been able to leverage technology, internet, whatever be that. So in a similar context, can you give insight to our MFDs? What kind of a goal setting that they must do today? Say, if I were to go back to my home and redraw my business plan, and let's say I was having a AUM, asset under management, of say 50 crores today, should my target for myself, using whatever I have at my disposal, be 10x, 20x? Because, like I mentioned, earlier you had to think of adding team members and so many other things. Today we live in an era where AI, digital, all of this can replace large teams. So I wanted your insight and inspire us to think big.
No, I appreciate the question, and let me try and answer this, right? Firstly, 10x, 20x, I remember many of you know Rakesh Junjunwala. When the index was 40,000, I think Shireen Ban or Lata Venkatesh or somebody asked him, bought index at 80,000 or something. Right? He laughed at her and said, "Why do you think so small?" So first, forget this 10x, 20x. Think about any amount. But, I would argue that it's not the AUM. AUM is an outcome. I think the earlier spoker is customer addition, right? And you earlier asked me about banks not adding more people, and I think the answer is not banks is not adding people. The banks are not adding people in the traditional jobs. Banks were never big on distribution, right? If you take a bank of 100 employees, 75 are in the mid and the back office and doing a lot of processing work. Now, if you take a bank of 120 employees, 70 are in the front and middle and back office. So I think technology has helped them do more mid and back office work automated, but you still need the human being in the front of the organization to reach out. So I think the flip has happened. Now, if you bring it to yourself, if you had X hours per day and you are doing 7 out of 70% of that time doing paper processing, back end, middle office at home by yourself, you will find a way to do that. 70% of your time becomes available to reach your clients. So the chance to become more client-centric and get more clients, consequently AUMs, is what I would say your replanning, your refacing your business has to be. So any MFD, if he or she spends that time redrawing their day, X hours, and you fix that in the 10 hours I'm spending 7 on mid and back office work, you will find that slowly that 7 should become 5, should become 3, and the extra 7 hours should be available for you to originate more clients. If you do more clients, AUM I think is a consequence. Absolutely. And the other point I would add, at least when I saw in the bank, I used to say, and I think Ganesh spoke about 2x of CASA is sitting in. Of course, bankers hate now, and I'm no longer a banker, I can say that bankers love CASA, right? They don't want you to take it and put it in FDs and AUM and this thing. But we used to say, for every 100 rupees customer is placing with you, 900 rupees with somebody else. Same I would think would be for the MFD. For every 100 rupees AUM with you, 900 is with somebody else, maybe a wealth manager. Find a way to bring it to your portfolio.
Thank you, sir. I think that's the story we have to keep working at. How do we, in a given day, there is constraint for all of us. There's 24 hours a day. Within that, we have to do our work plus reach existing clients and prospects and referrals. How do we maximize time? And can we use technology to leverage more so that we spend maximum time meeting people and talking about where we can build trust? I know that back office is important, but it's become hygiene now. I think trust gets developed when we go meet in person and kind of interact with people. So I think very, very well said. So one small advice. What would you say to somebody who understands all this, but says, I have built a practice the way it is, and we're all creatures of habit. We have done things historically in a certain way. Why not I continue the same way? Why should I adopt it now? Maybe when things become more clearer, things are not very clear as we speak now, things Maybe at that time I will adopt. Maybe a couple of years I'll wait and watch. What would be your thought? What would be your words to them?
Hey, Babu, I think this answer is irrespective of whichever industry, whatever phase of life, uh, it's that paradox of precision, as they say, right? If you wait for that moment where everything is available, all available, then everybody has the same information to take that decision. So you have to make that decision ahead of somebody else if you want to adopt. But I think it's a journey. It's evolving. But I would argue that if you are not, I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said that the operating definition of insanity is doing the same thing all over again and expecting a different result. So how can we even make the case in today's world? I will continue to do what has worked for me ever for, and I'll continue and believe that you're going to be better off. I don't think in that new world that's possible. And I still remember Jack Welch's famous line: if the rate of change outside is higher than the rate of change inside, the end is near. So I would argue that we don't have luxury of trying to sit on our haunches and believing that, I'm doing great. But some kid somewhere is discovering a better way to do it than any of us thought about it. So I don't think that luxury exists. So some paranoia is good. Good paranoid makes us stay nimble and active. So it is good to worry. It is good to panic, but not just press the button because it has to be done. It has to be thoughtfully done. But that's where I think the sharp minds that people are and the space that AI should create for you to free think should be the best time to reallocate your time and space and relearn and do. So it's a personal journey. I have no prescription for it, but I would think that ability to reinvent constantly and be alert is probably the best medicine for this.
Thank you, sir. You heard it, friends. I think the best way forward is to have a little paranoia, and it's perfectly normal. Andy Grove way back said only the paranoid survive. And,
he didn't. That's a different story. Intel didn't.
but I think it's good to be a little paranoid about the future, but use it positively to drive your adoption of AI and technology and see whether we can kind of use it to the best advantage. I'm going to talk a little bit about emotional intelligence. And as a banker in today's parlance, banks seem to, that element of empathy and emotional intelligence seems to have waned quite a bit. That's what I come to understand. In your suggestion, is there a remedy that we can learn from that and kind of do it better? While we all want to grow and we all want to be in the next big place, is there a way to do this, organically without appearing, kind of machine-like, which is what we are finding today a lot to do with the banking. There is no connect. The customer doesn't kind of know the banker, like I mentioned, and so on and so forth. Your thoughts?
No, the line we used to use in the bank is digital at the fore, human at the core. Right? Digital at the fore, human at the core. And that applies to anybody, right? You have to use all the technology that's at your command, but not forget that you are a human serving another human. So if we are able to bring that fusion well, I think we are in a better place. My personal line is the future of digital is human. What is AI? I am no expert, but I will just give you my definition. It is a lot of people doing a lot of things to make a lot of human beings doing a lot of things using technology to produce another human who's as clever and better. That's what this whole thing is, right? We are doing anything and everything at our command to produce another human being who's a million times faster and cleverer than us. So we're just trying to get, but I think it's not come to the point where consciousness is overlaid on that. I think that's the entire difference between us and that infinite technology. So I would say the more human we can be in this extremely digital world, bringing empathy and that 9 o'clock phone when he didn't expect it. I think I heard Anthony talk about his son, and the guy didn't spend enough time asking the son. But if he started building that relationship with the son, I think the storyline changes. So I would think the more we become human in a highly digital world. I know I'm going to be laughed out at times, but that's my genuine personal belief, and I think it'll work.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I mean, it deeply resonates with our thinking as well that AI is very, very important and great. But how do you build empathy and emotion along with that so that your journey can truly be forward? So I've come to the final question. It's a big one. When the history of financial services written, say in 2045, what do you hope advisors of this era will be remembered for? The ones who used AI and AI not just to grow but genuinely transform lives. So your thoughts.
No, I don't know if I can sort of bring in all the points we spoke about. First is, are you genuinely on the speed dial of many? Right? How human are you? Of course, use the technology. So I think I opened by saying, you walked in as MFDs, right? Mutual fund distributors. Walk out as, I love acronyms, so I'll try to use one. Mindful wealth architects, future ready using AI, and deeply human. So mindful, M, future ready, and deeply human. I think you will rewrite, and you will be the one who writing the story, and not somebody else writing the story on you. You have to make that decision that in this AI world, you will write the story and not somebody else writing a story saying a bunch of people disappeared. Become mindful, become future ready, become deeply human. That is a new MFD I have for you, if it helps.
Wow, that deserves a big round of applause. And I think truly a very, very elevating session, sir. And thank you so much for sparing time and being with us. Uh, Srini, we're good to, yeah, we're a little early. I think it's a good time to have. Is there any last words you want to share with professionals out here about this era that we live on, and what are your thoughts? This is the last, and we are wrapping up with this.
I'm happy. No, I think, see, I'm not saying this in this platform. I say this, whoever cares to listen to me. Too much is being made about all this technology will eat up your lunch and you will become history and stuff like that. It is true if we don't embrace it. It is true if we let it pass. And the very tool that can destroy us can also help us become, if you all watched this Nikhil Kamath interview with the Anthropic MD, founder, Dario, it's a pretty good watch. I'd encourage all of you to watch it. Where, the conversations swing between the future of AI and how it will eat up and jobs and stuff like that. But there's a lot of things that you can take away is that how do you not fear it and embrace it? And I'm sure at lunch today, tomorrow, yesterday, all your conversations, wherever we turn, I was looking at yesterday's business line in some other context, and the first 4 pages had the word AI about 12 times, right? And I'm sure in any WhatsApp video or audio you get, I'm sure AI is so that is now the order of the day. To believe that it will change our life in a manner that we can't recognize may be true. But do we have to become a victim or do we have to be the leader there? And how we adopt is entirely in our hands. That moment has arrived. We were all pretending like the things that happened in 2000 will not change life will carry on, but we've all carried on and successfully so. We've been adopting. Now, rate of diffusion of all this may vary. Some areas it will spread really fast and some areas may be really slow. That judgment is human. But to believe that our lives will change in a manner that we can't recognize is probably true, but I do think like the ECG machine gives you the reading, but the doctor does the decision. The surgeon gets the knife is there, but the surgeon does the surgery. Right? I think you are all that surgeon. So try and think about how you will make sure you're able to adapt to technology, but use it infinitely well and wisely. I think life will be fine. So that are my 2 bits.
Thank you so much, sir. That's a hugely value-added thoughts from your end, and we're deeply grateful on behalf of all of us at IFA Galaxy and MFD Galaxy, so to say. Thank you so much for being with us. Yeah, MFD now has a new definition: mind-fueled, future-ready, and dependable human being. Deeply human being, yeah, deeply human being. Thank you so much, sir.